This is Alex Cack for 5 on 20 News. I'm sitting down with Bob Hoffman, president of the Tucson Roadrunners. Bob, how you doing today?
Good, Alex. How are you doing?
Oh, fantastic. Thanks for coming in.
Sure.
So I want to talk a little bit about the Roadrunners, a little bit about sports in Tucson in general. So let's start. How long have you been with the Roadrunners?
Well, the team's brand new this year. Really, it was just about a year ago, a little bit less than a year ago, that the team was actually formed and came to Tucson. I joined the team in August, right around the middle to end of August, and moved to Tucson, relocated here at that point.
Fantastic. So, because I know some of the players made the move from Massachusetts with the franchise itself, but you came on here as an Arizona native, correct?
Correct, yeah, and exactly. I mean, that's kind of the way the process went, that the Arizona Coyotes, which are the owners, the operators of our team, purchased a team out of Springfield, Massachusetts, as you mentioned, moved them then to Tucson, Arizona, and then when they put the staff together from there. So then that's when I joined, was once that staff was formed.
So I think there's something about that kind of community aspect. I mean, when we look at professional sports, it's really about that community.
Oh,
and
absolutely. I mean, it really is, especially when you're coming in new to a town like this. You really want people to come out and try hockey, sure, and you want to make sure that they become hockey fans. But it's really understanding that, you know, from the mascot to the promotion team to the players that are on the squad that have now made Tucson their home as well. It's about entrenching ourselves in the community and being here for anything that we might be called upon to do.
I mean, that's fantastic to hear. I think as someone who's lived in Tucson personally, I've seen so many attempts to do something on this kind of a semi-professional level or with different types of farm leagues and different types of sports. And I think a lot of Tucson residents, we've seen so many, heartbreaks, whether it was the Toros or the Sidewinders or the Padres or, some of the more recent ones that just haven't had a lot of success, the Tucson Saguaros, the Tucson Buckets. You guys aren't having those issues. What is it that you guys are doing differently that's bringing people out?
Well, we came with a very definitive plan of what we wanted to do. With the backing that we have, a lot of those situations you mentioned before, unfortunately, sometimes there may not be enough backing with them from an investor standpoint. When you look at what we've done, I mean, we have the backing of the Coyotes, a National Hockey League team, that really, our mission here is twofold. It's not only to become a part of that community and to become a part of what the fabric of Tucson is, but it's also to develop hockey players for the Arizona Coyotes and to try to grow them. So from the Coyote standpoint, they're very vested in this and have that interest because they want us to develop their players of the future. And it makes so much more sense financially and from a geographic standpoint to have those players in the same neighborhood as opposed to Massachusetts, which we mentioned before. So from that standpoint, there certainly is a lot more vested interest from the ownership standpoint to keep the team here. Then they also really spared no expense in putting a staff together. They didn't want to go with just a handful of people or try to stay to the low end. We have 20 full-time workers that work over there with the Roadrunners in this town that have gone out and become just a part of everything they can in growing the season ticket base, growing the sponsorship base, marketing the team. And I think we've done a nice job of that and really hooked a lot of people to the brand of hockey that we play.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like I'm seeing Roadrunners shirts and jerseys and things that you really don't associate with, unless it's an actual NHL team or an MLB team. You don't see sometimes at these lower levels of professional competition this rabid fan base forming. What has the response been from the community in the games? Is it really as good as it seems outside the TCC? Or?
We can't be more pleased. I mean, it's funny you mentioned the merchandise side of things. I took my daughter out. It was a couple of weekends ago, and we went up to the mall to grab her something. And in that time that I was there, maybe a 15-minute stretch, I saw 2 jerseys, 3 hats, and 1 T-shirt that were Roadrunners. And I'm like, yeah, we're starting to make our mark. This is exactly what we're after, to really have people want to try to live and breathe Roadrunners hockey. And from the response in the arena, I mean, you'll always get that core hockey base, and there's that. I think you could probably put a hockey team up in just about any city and you'll have those 1,000 kind of core fans. For us, it's really stretching beyond that and trying to get businesses that want to partner and bring their employees or bring their clients out for a group outing. It's having special promotions and putting things together that really can impact a particular group, whether it's a cancer awareness situation, whether it's Boy Scout night, Girl Scout night. Those kind of things have really been beneficial for us and have really opened the door, I think, to people that may not have thought that hockey would be their cup of tea or something that they would want to do on a Friday or Saturday night.
Well, and you guys are sharing an arena. You're sharing a place that you actually play and that you work and live. to some extent with another hockey team, with the Ice Cats, the Wildcats hockey program. Is there a relationship that's forming there at all between the college athletes and the professional ones on the Roadrunners?
There is. I mean, maybe not so much with the players themselves. They sort of stay kind of separate with it, but at least from the organization standpoint, there is. I mean, the main goal for the U of A hockey team and for ourselves is to grow the sport of hockey. The way they're going to get some local people, maybe some homegrown people to want to come and play hockey at the U of A is to get a 6, 7, 8-year-old to put on skates and pick up a stick. And for us, that's the way that the parents are going to become fully involved, and the way that they're going to become passionate about our game and our product is when their kids want to play and when their kids want to be a part of it, and then number 16 on the ice is their favorite player. I mean, those are the ways we're going to be able to accomplish what we need to get done. And by growing the sport of hockey, I think that's really helping the U of A team as well. And them having that history and being here, they've done a nice job of already really, planting the seeds for the sport with a lot of people here in Tucson.
It's definitely been one of the more popular attractions I think that the U of A itself has had, and I'm happy to see that there is this natural transition, kind of welcoming the Roadrunners to the city. I guess one of my next questions would really be, how is it that you guys are approaching kind of selling the sport of hockey? I mean, this is, for so long, it's been a baseball, basketball, right, soccer market. How are you bringing those kind of casual fans in the door and getting them to come back?
Well, it's really funny. It's not as challenging as you might think. When I first came to Tucson, I wasn't sure what to expect as far as that hockey IQ and to see what people would be interested in the sport and people that had any sort of exposure to it in the past. Tucson is as you know, is made up of a lot of transplants and people that have moved here from other places. A lot of times those are places that have hockey teams, National Hockey League teams, even minor league teams. So they've been exposed to the sport. They're already fans of the sport, and they're excited to have something in their backyard as opposed to having to drive 2 hours to get up to Glendale, Arizona to watch the Coyotes play as the closest kind of professional level hockey team, at least, that they would have. So that process wasn't that bad as far as educating a lot of the people that were already hockey fans. To try to find some of the new hockey fans, what we really did is we invested a lot into the presentation and the game itself. The hockey, if you're not a fan and you don't know the rules, the hockey itself may not sell it. You may come and think, it's exciting, it's fast-paced, but I'm not really sure what they're doing out there. I may not come back. What we've tried to do is to really make it an entertaining night out, that it's something that's affordable for the family and something where you're going to see movie clips on the screen, you're going to see interactive games with the audience, great music, a light show. You're going to see all those things that go into really putting on a production that when you leave, whether we win, whether we lose, whether you know a lot about the sport yet or you're just learning, you're going to look at it and say, when do they play again? We want to come back at some point.
But, and that's something I think that's fascinating to me about the AHL as an organization as a whole, is when you look at minor league ball, especially independent leagues like we've had here for a while, and you look at the NBA D League or any of these other kind of like lower level of professional competition, it loses some of the entertainment aspect. The players go out, they play the game, and that's great for the core fan. But if he's bringing his wife, who really could kind of care less, and he brings a son who's just becoming a fan, and his daughter who could maybe care less, or whatever that case may be, maybe it's not building those generations of fans in the way that an MLB team would be or an NHL team would be.
Well, I think what we tried to do to counter that was what I talked about earlier with, knowing that the Coyotes, from their number one priority with this as an organization is for us to make a 19, 20, 21-year-old player into somebody that can be serviceable at the National Hockey League level. So they have homegrown talent. From our side of things, if we just went that route, we would be what you're talking about. I mean, it's just the game itself. It's just developing the player. Not really that important whether or not someone's having a great time or whether or not ticket sales increase or people are coming to support the team. From the staff standpoint, we're in there to try to make sure that opposite happens, that not only are we developing those players from the hockey operations side, but from the business side, we are putting that product out there and something that people can get their hands around and get involved with at a very affordable price and really bring their entire family out. We have promotions at the TCC, from dollar food nights on select Saturdays throughout the season to other food specials throughout the year. So we're cognizant of that entertainment dollar and trying to do what we can to make sure that it goes as long as it can and that people can have a great night and coming out and watching a hockey game.
And you guys are doing a fantastic job of it, especially here in the city, locally. But that leads me to another question. What do you see as the future of kind of sports and sports entertainment in Tucson? Because you guys are kind of at the ground level of it right now.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly I've become a huge fan. I've just moved to Tucson within the last year, but that relocating to here, I've become a huge fan of the city, and I see potential in so many different ways. I know that the soccer team here, the FC Tucson team, I've gotten to know them fairly well, and there is that fan base for them as well. So there is that sport that's there. I don't see why a market this size couldn't and wouldn't support a minor league baseball team if the roots were planted properly, and I think going about it from that entertainment aspect and giving people something to do in the summertime. So I think that the sky's the limit with really what can be done here in Tucson, and certainly the development of it for people. Obviously, I hear from those that have lived here for forever, or people that, like yourself, have been here, a decade or even a little bit less, that the way that it's grown and the way that the downtown area has really evolved has really, I think, given a lot of pride to Tucsonans, and I think that's something that we can help grow on that and help try to plant those seeds as well for other ventures that may want to come in and try Tucson out.
And I think that's a kind of good point. You're talking about the growth of downtown itself. You guys are in a good position because you're at the TCC, and so when you're talking about that entertainment value again, people can go to the game and afterwards or beforehand they can go to dinner, they can grab a drink. I mean, do you see that being the future? Do you see downtown as the future of sports in Tucson then? Or
my personal opinion, yes, I do. I mean, I see that's where it's growing and that's where it's developing. And so many people, from what I talk to people all around Tucson that, wouldn't have come downtown 2.5 years ago. That's what they do on their weekends now. And that's where they want to go and have an entertaining night. And the hockey team's just a part of that and one of the tenets of the group down there. As sports grows, I think that the downtown is what's going to benefit the most from that. And you and I were talking before we went on air about all the events and everything happening here, this past weekend. It just seems like that funnel was to bring everyone in downtown, whether they were 15 minutes away, 15 miles away from what they were doing when it was all over and all said and done. Let's gather back around downtown Tucson and take part in all the different things that it has to offer.
It really has become kind of the heart of the city again, which I think is really magical. And I'm very glad that you guys are playing a part of that.
Well, thank you.
Let's talk a little bit more about the team, though, because this has been your first season. It seems like you guys have had a pretty astounding number of wins for your first year out.
Not so much lately, but we got off to a good start at least.
Yeah, it was a good opening.
Exactly.
I was trying to give you guys a little slack here.
Nice.
So, I mean, you have a month left, right?
Right.
What's the plan for the next month? What do you have for March?
Well, I mean, from the on-the-ice standpoint, we are in a playoff position right now and have been battling for that. We, as I mentioned, had a great start to the season, struggled a little bit in the month of February, so that's put us behind where we wanted to be. But our number one goal, we hope we can make the playoffs and bring playoff hockey here to Tucson. That'll play itself out in the next 30, 35 days, so we'll know. But exactly. From an entertainment side of things, we want to make sure that everyone has a great time, and we're really trying to take advantage of these remaining home games that we have. In the month of March, we've got numerous promotions throughout the month, a St. Patty's Day, a green beer type festival thing going on the 17th. We're having Cancer Awareness Night on March the 18th, with proceeds going to benefit the U of A Cancer Center as we talk about that budding relationship with the university as well. We're going to help raise funds for the Cancer Center. The arts and entertainment people over at soccer are coming down on Saturday night, March 25th. And also on that night, we're really happy that I think one of the things that really helped us kind of get ingrained in the community was a tragedy, an unfortunate thing that we had happen back in November with our captain, Craig Cunningham, falling on the ice and going through a medical emergency. On the 25th, we're going to recognize Craig, honor him, and the people that flat out helped save his life and keep this young man alive. So that'll be out on the 25th as well, so we're looking forward to that. And then everything will close down on March 31st and April 1st on that weekend, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll make it to the playoffs after that.
I do want to touch base on the tragedy that did occur.
Sure.
That happened early into the season, and you guys were attracting fans and getting some wins, and you have this young talent who's playing for the Coyotes, who's playing for you guys, and yeah, this tragedy, that's a great way to put it, happens. How, as a young new organization, do you guys rebound from really losing the head of your team, really?
It's been a struggle for sure. I mean, I think on the ice, the players really looked at me. He was the captain. I mean, this was the person that had the loudest voice in the locker room, that guided the young kids, that had that NHL experience. So from that standpoint, it really disjointed the locker room just a little bit. I think our guys and the leaders in that locker room have really bonded it together and pulled him back in. And then also we're very fortunate that Craig has recovered in certain ways and now can be a part of what we're trying to accomplish here. Craig comes to the rink all the time. He's at if not every game, almost every game. And you know, in his mind, and to all the players, he's a teammate. He's still there. He's still the team captain. And now he's got that voice to try to help pull them together and pull them through. And I think we're going to be leaning on him a lot here come March to try to guide us to the promised land there at least. Yeah. Exactly. We're going to need Craig.
Well, what's next for Craig?
Well, Craig is going through, right now, he did, right around the holidays, had to have a part of his left leg amputated. So, you know, his hockey career, at least on ice as a player, is over. Craig is so knowledgeable and knows so much about the sport that I wouldn't be surprised at what he'd be able to accomplish, whatever he really want to. Technology is amazing nowadays to where, you know, people that have lost limbs in combat and accidents, you know, with being able to put a prosthetic on, Craig might be able to skate, you know, and be able to coach and lend his wisdom to whatever level he'd like. Whether a lot of times hockey players like giving that knowledge down to the kids and looking to coach youth hockey, mite hockey, college level, junior hockey, and even the pro level. So I think from what Craig can do, it's going to be whatever Craig wants to do. He's one of the most strong-willed and you know, very driven people that I've met, and I think whatever he decides he wants to accomplish, he's going to do it.
It's fantastic. I think, speaking for everyone here in Tucson, you know, we're all rooting for him. We're all looking forward to seeing what that next step is. Again, this was Alex Kack and Bob Hoffman from the Tucson Roadrunners for 5 on 20 News. We'll see you next time. All right. Does it cover everything you wanted to?
No, it's perfect.